What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Black, your internet relationship and breakup coach. Today's topic: this is exactly why your ex seems happy after the breakup. Now, this is another one of those questions that I get very often, whether in the comment section or in my emails. And it's understandable because a lot of people are confused and you're perplexed about why does your ex seem to be enjoying the breakup? Why do they seem so much happier? Right? Was being with you such a negative thing? Was being your partner, so unthinkable that now they are, running laps and essentially celebrating the breakup? And it's almost like it can further cause more pain and hurt and anxiety. The breakup in itself, first of all, is like someone stabbed you in the chest, and all of their celebration and perceived happiness can be like they're twisting the knife, trying to cause you further pain. So I want to make this video to give you the clarity and understanding of where your ex is likely coming from, like all the things that they're doing. What does it mean? And how does it impact the potential of fixing things down the line? So what I find very common is that a lot of people that ask me this question about, why does my ex seem happy? They seem to be comparing apples to oranges. And I'm going to explain that to you here with a very simple example. Now, if you've watched my channel, I talk about the loss of an attraction, that happens usually before a breakup, meaning your ex didn't just come to this choice to leave out of nowhere. Usually over time in the relationship, they've lost interest, they've lost attraction. And so before the breakup, maybe weeks before, there was essentially an offset in interest level, meaning you were likely here very interested in making things work, keeping the relationship healthy, and your ex was at a point where it was substantially lower. And so whenever there's a gap, or that wide of a gap, that tends to cause a lot of friction in the relationship. I want you to think about this example. Back when I was in college, I was part of a fraternity where we used to have these canned food drives, and we would ask people to donate to help combat hunger. And we wanted to help the community and help society, essentially. And so we would set out these bins at different dorms and have people donating. And it was a really great event that we put on. But what would happen is once a week, me and my fraternity brothers will go pick up these bins, and these bins were huge. And so they usually had a handle on each side of the bin, and all of the cans are in the bin. And for the most part, one person could not support or carry this bin by themselves. So you always need a partner. One person is on one side, the other person is on the other side. So I want you to picture that. Each person is carrying this heavy load. And that is a symbolic picture of what a relationship is. All of the cans represent the different issues, the hurt, and everything that is comprised of, what's going on in the relationship. And it usually needs both people to carry the load. Now, one person might be stronger than the other, but it's usually still fine provided both are putting in effort. And what happens is over time, it'll get to a point where you're the only one carrying, and your ex essentially drops the bin. And what happens is that the relationship tumbles down and all the cans roll out into the street. That is what happens from one perspective. You're putting in all the effort and your ex is putting in none. But there's a different scenario. Remember how I said you're comparing apples to oranges? So the apples, right, you're putting in the effort and so on and so forth, and your ex is not putting in the effort. Now with the oranges, it's actually the complete opposite. And here's what I want you to understand. Usually when there's an offset in interest or an offset in attraction, you as the person that got dumped You were likely feeling anxious. You were likely feeling fearful. And a lot of times you will be going to your ex for them to reassure you. What's going on? I feel like things are different. Do you still care about me? And a lot of times, even though your needs are valid and they are healthy, this is what a relationship is, your needs and your expectations start to become a burden to your ex. They start to feel like too much work because your ex is no longer as invested. They're not putting in that effort and energy. So when it comes to the orange department, your ex likely was carrying a lot of emotional load. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you didn't care about them. Just the mere fact that you loved them and cared and you were needing from them is, to them, it feels like they are carrying so much weight of all of your needs, right? Your needs have become a burden. And a lot of times when someone breaks up with you, let's say your ex has been carrying the bucket of all of your needs, all of your doubts, all of your fears, as soon as the relationship ends, it's like a heavy load has been lifted off of your ex's back. So most times, if you can picture that for a second and see someone really carrying this really hefty backpack with a lot of books and things inside of it. A lot of times after a breakup, your ex goes into relief. They feel good. They're no longer all of that constant pressure of your expectations because they are not willing to meet your needs currently. They're not willing to put in the work because their interest level is low. So once they take that backpack off, usually you'll see things that look like happiness. You'll see things that look like excitement. It's just more so the toll of not being at the same place you were emotionally, a lot of times makes them feel good. But this is a temporary state of being. Okay, even for the person who unloads this hefty backpack, they're not going to be feeling a sense of relief in 2 days, right? In 3 days, because at that point, it's just the status quo. That pressure, that pain is no longer there. So as long as you go into no contact and you stop needing from them and you stop asking, why don't you love me? Why don't you care? And trying to connect with them. All of these things I understand. My point is, you go to no contact, you give them what they're asking for, you give them the space. All of a sudden, that pressure that they just left or they just avoided, it no longer feels the same. That level of excitement and relief a lot of times changes over time, and your ex starts to move towards the different stages of no contact, and they start to feel fearful or anxious, assuming they deeply cared. Here's the second reason, and this one is a big one, why your ex may seem happy. So if you've ever heard the story of a guy called Ronald Reed, and you might not have heard this, if you're into personal finance, this story was huge a couple of years ago, maybe in like 2016 or so. But Ronald Reed was a very old man who passed away, maybe in his 80s or 90s. I can't remember how old he was. But when he passed away, he has a net worth of over $8 million. And it was essentially national news. And you might be saying, okay, well, maybe he was a super successful guy and, he was able to save a lot of money and, 8 million is nothing to sniff at all. He's not a billionaire, but that is a very successful person. But the reason why this was national news is that Ronald Reed was a janitor for most of his life until he retired. So how does this person who is simply a janitor, one of the positions or roles that we see in life as not, super high esteemed, okay? It's not like he's a doctor or a lawyer. How does he get to have $8 million? Because we know the average American doesn't have $200 for an emergency. So again, how is this person who has a career that doesn't pay so much, or at least that's the perception, how is he able to amass such a high net worth? His family are surprised. His friends are surprised. Well, essentially, Ronald Reed had been investing in the stock market for over 50 or 60 years. And even though on the outside, to the outside world, he didn't seem like a success, he was still squirreling away and putting money aside and saving and investing. And the reason I use this example is that people who understand money know that there's a complete difference between wealth, people who are truly wealthy, and someone who maybe has a high income but they're not wealthy. The truth is, true wealth is invincible. It's not something you can see. It's not something you can touch. Okay, wealth is in the equity of a home. When someone has a home, you don't really know how much they owe on the home or how much they've paid off. But wealth is invincible. Wealth is in the stock market. You can't see it, you can't touch it unless someone shows it to you. But if you focus on looking at the people who are flashy, the people who drive the nicest and fanciest cars and the best clothes, a lot of times those people are broke. All right? They may not be broke as in $0, but they don't have a lot of wealth because they are showing a lot of the assets and things that they have. So they're not really getting to save and invest. And happiness, a lot of times, is the same thing. If you're in no contact, but you know that your ex seems happy, that means that your ex is likely doing a lot of things to publicize their happiness. And this is not how happiness works. Happiness is an internal job. Happiness should be invincible. Now, sure, maybe someone can be, jovial and they can smile and they can be, a positive person. But the fact that you know that your ex seems happy means to me that they are doing things to demonstrate their so-called happiness in the public sphere. So they might be doing that to get your attention. They might be doing that to validate themselves, to feel better, so that they're not as hurt as they were dealing with the breakups or dealing with the fact that you haven't reached out to them after the breakup. Whatever it is, there's a lot of reasons why people seek validation from the internet or from other people. It's because the internal job is not done. They're not feeling whole and complete in of themselves, and so they have to go seek it on the outside. And just like Ronald Reed in the example I said earlier, people who are truly happy, they don't have this need to constantly display everything they're doing and everyone that they're hanging out with and every adventure that they're taking. They're just happy. And it's the people that are around them, the people that truly love them, that get to see that side of them. Okay, so this is why your ex can seem happy. A lot of times, either it's still early and they are in that relief phase where they're taking off the backpack and they feel that sense of pressure removed from them. Or a lot of times it's because they're seeking external validation. And let's even say, in a third, scenario, let's say your ex is truthfully happy. The bottom line is you should want happiness from your ex. Your ex being happy does not mean that you can never reconcile. But understand that most times it has nothing to do with you. It's just part of their process that they're going through. And in the little bit amount of times, let's say your ex is genuinely happy in of themselves, then that's fine. They can see the breakup from a different perspective, provided you're giving them the space. They can see that you added value to their life and you were kind and you were loving, and they can start to approach you with the same level of positivity. Never, though, should you be waiting for your ex to change their mind about you, because what attracts them at the end of the day is the fact that you're whole, you're complete, and you're happy by yourself. And they get to see that and they want to be a part of your life and a part of your happiness. But that will take some time. But for the vast majority of people that I see that ask me, why is my ex happy? It's likely scenario one, in that your ex is still feeling that sense of relief. Life is good. They've taken off the backpack and things feel so much better. And even though you are coming from a different place and you want them to feel everything you're feeling, you want them to hurt the same way you're hurting currently, remember, it's two completely different perspectives. The apple and the orange. It's totally different places where you and your ex are at currently, but they can move down that spectrum and come to a place where they are caring and they're a lot more affectionate towards you. Check out the video that I made called 5 Stages Your Ex Goes Through to Come Back to You, that'll go through what happens after your ex goes through the relief phase, so you can have more clarity about that as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If there's anyone you know that will benefit from this content, please go ahead and share this video with them so that they can get clarity about their situation. If you want to talk to me about your breakup, you can book a coaching call by clicking the first link in description, and we can talk about what you're dealing with and what you're going through. Again, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.